Every single year, thousands of peach trees are planted with total confidence and the best intentions, and within 3 to 5 years, most of them are struggling, declining, or dead. Not because of disease, not because of bad weather, not because peach trees are inherently difficult, because of one planting mistake that was made on a single afternoon before the tree ever had a chance to prove itself. A mistake so common that it's almost become the standard way people plant peach trees. A mistake that sets the tree up for failure from its very first day in the ground, and whose consequences don't become obvious until years later when the grower has no idea that the damage was done long ago and cannot be undone. If you want to grow peach trees that actually thrive, trees that produce heavy crops of exceptional fruit and stay healthy for 15, 20, 30 years, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on your notifications. Every week we deliver the kind of practical, honest, field-tested peach-growing knowledge that makes a real difference in what you're able to grow. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what the biggest peach tree planting mistake is, explain why it causes the damage it does at the biological level, and walk you through the complete planting process that experienced orchardists use to give their trees the best possible start. By the end of this video, you will never plant a peach tree the wrong way again, and if you already have trees in the ground, you'll know how to assess whether this mistake was made and what you can do about it. This is genuinely one of the most important videos on this channel. Let me paint you a picture that I've seen play out more times than I can count. Someone decides they want to grow peaches. They do their research, they pick a good variety for their climate, they buy a healthy-looking tree from the nursery, they bring it home on a nice day in early spring, and they dig a hole and plant it. The hole is roughly the size of the container the tree came in, maybe a bit bigger. They put the tree in, backfill with the soil they dug out, maybe mixed with some compost or purchased garden soil to improve it. They water it well, and they feel good about what they've done. They've planted a peach tree. They look after it. They water it through the first summer. It puts out some growth and looks reasonably healthy, and they look forward to fruit in a few years. And then, slowly, things start going wrong. The tree never really takes off with the vigor you'd expect. Growth is slower than it should be. The canopy is sparse. The tree seems to struggle every season without any obvious reason. By year 4 or 5, it's producing almost nothing and there is visible dieback in the scaffold branches. By year 6 or 7, in many cases, the tree is gone. And the grower never understood why, because from the outside, they did everything right. What they actually did was make the biggest planting mistake in the book. And there are several layers to it that compound each other in ways that guarantee long-term problems. Let me break down what actually happened in that planting scenario, because understanding the specific errors is what allows you to avoid them. The first and most serious error in that scenario is the hole. A hole that is roughly the size of the root ball or container seems logical. You need a hole big enough to fit the roots. You put the roots in, you fill it back up. Straightforward. But this logic completely ignores what happens to a tree's root system in the months and years after planting. Young peach tree roots need to expand outward, horizontally, away from the trunk, to establish the extensive, wide-spreading root architecture that a mature, productive peach tree depends on. When a small hole is dug in undisturbed, often compacted native soil and then backfilled, even with improved soil, the root system expands easily through the loose backfill, but then hits the hard wall of undisturbed native soil at the edge of the planting hole. This interface between loose backfill and compacted native soil creates what soil scientists call a physical discontinuity, a boundary that roots struggle to cross. The roots circle inside the loose backfill zone, becoming pot-bound in the ground exactly as if the tree were still in a container. The above-ground symptoms of this condition look like chronic mild stress, reduced vigor, poor shoot growth, underwhelming production, and they appear years after planting, by which time nobody connects them to the hole that was dug on planting day. The second error in that scenario, Closely related to the first is amending the backfill soil with compost or purchased garden soil to make it richer and more hospitable than the surrounding native soil. This sounds sensible and caring, but it actually makes the root boundary problem significantly worse. When backfill soil is substantially more fertile, more moisture retentive, and better structured than the surrounding native soil, you create what researchers call a container effect in the ground. The roots encounter a high-quality environment in the planting hole and have even less incentive to venture into the harder, less hospitable native soil beyond. The root system becomes permanently concentrated in the planting zone, limiting the tree's ability to access water and nutrients from the broader soil volume it needs to reach as a mature tree. This is why modern horticultural science has moved almost entirely away from the recommendation to amend backfill soil for tree planting, despite the fact that the advice to amend with compost is still being given out at garden centers everywhere. The third error is planting depth, specifically planting too deep. This is epidemic. When a grower digs a hole and sets the tree in it, the natural tendency is to make sure the root ball is well down in the hole and the tree looks stable and secure. And the nursery container often has the tree positioned with the crown, the point where the trunk meets the root system, an inch or two below the rim of the container. So when the tree comes out of the pot and goes into the hole, it often ends up planted at or below the depth it was in the container, which was already potentially too deep. Soil then settles over the first season, dropping the crown further. And now you have a tree with its crown buried, its bark in contact with consistently moist soil, and the perfect conditions established for the crown rot and phytophthora infection that I covered in detail in a previous video. Deep planting is not just a disease risk, though. It also restricts the tree's root flare, the natural widening of the base of the trunk where it transitions to root tissue, which is a critical structural zone for the tree's long-term stability and vascular function. The fourth error is soil drainage assessment, or rather, the total absence of it before planting. Most growers pick a spot based on sunlight, accessibility, and aesthetics. They check that the area gets enough sun, maybe consider how it looks in the garden layout, and plant. What they almost never do is check how that specific spot drains after rain. Peach trees are among the most drainage-sensitive fruit trees you can grow. They will not tolerate waterlogged soil for even short periods without significant damage to their root systems, and a planting site that looks perfectly dry and normal. Most of the year may have a seasonal high water table or a subsurface clay layer that causes the soil to become saturated for days or weeks at a time after heavy rain. One or two of these saturation events in the first year or two after planting can cause root damage that permanently compromises the tree's health, and the grower never connects the spring flooding that disappeared in a week to the poor performance they see 2 seasons later. Now let me explain the biology behind why these planting errors cause such persistent, long-term damage, because the mechanisms are worth understanding. Peach trees are, from a root architecture standpoint, genuinely different from many other fruit trees. Under ideal conditions, good drainage, adequate space, no physical barriers, peach root systems spread very wide and relatively shallow. The majority of the feeder roots, which are the fine, actively absorbing root tips that take up water and nutrients, are concentrated in the top 12 to 24 inches of soil and can extend laterally to a distance of 2 to 3 times the canopy spread in a mature tree. This extensive, shallow, wide-spreading root architecture is what allows a mature peach tree to access the large soil volume it needs to support a heavy crop of developing fruit during the demanding summer growing season. When that architecture is disrupted by a restrictive planting hole, by amended backfill that discourages outward root growth, or by compaction layers that the roots cannot penetrate, the tree is trying to fuel a potentially large canopy and a heavy fruit crop from a permanently restricted root zone. It is like running a high-performance engine on a fuel line that was kinked on day one and was never straightened out. The biology of planting depth damage centers on the physiology of the root crown and the lower trunk. The bark of the peach tree trunk is designed to be in air, not in soil. The bark tissue below the soil line on a properly planted tree, the actual root tissue, has a completely different cellular structure and chemistry than the above-ground bark. It is adapted for a soil environment, for contact with moisture and soil organisms. The transition zone, the crown, is a narrow band designed to exist at the soil-air interface. When this zone is buried, even by an inch or two, you are putting air-adapted bark tissue into constant contact with soil moisture, soil organisms, and the carbon dioxide-rich, oxygen-poor atmosphere of the soil zone. That tissue breaks down. It becomes susceptible to fungal colonization. The cambium in that zone begins to die, and since the cambium is the conduit for everything moving between the roots and the canopy, crown damage has consequences that radiate upward through the entire tree. The oxygen relationship between roots and soil health is equally fundamental. Root cells, like all living cells, require oxygen for respiration, the process by which they produce the energy they need to function. In well-drained, well-structured soil with good pore space, oxygen diffuses freely through the soil and is continuously available to root cells. In compacted soil, in waterlogged soil, or in soil where the pore structure has been disrupted by over-amended backfill that has settled and compacted unevenly, oxygen diffusion is severely limited. Root cells in low-oxygen soil begin to accumulate toxic metabolic byproducts, primarily ethanol and acetaldehyde, that damage cell membranes and cause cell death. This is the primary mechanism of waterlogging damage in peach trees, and it operates rapidly. Peach roots can begin experiencing significant oxygen stress within 24 to 48 hours of soil saturation. Extended saturation events lasting more than a week at the wrong time of year can kill significant portions of the feeder root system. Now let's talk about what experienced commercial peach growers and serious orchardists actually do when they plant a peach tree, because this is where everything I've described gets translated into a concrete practice you can follow. Step 1 is site evaluation, and this happens weeks or even months before any tree goes in the ground. Experienced growers evaluate 3 things about a potential planting site: sunlight, soil drainage, and previous crop history. For sunlight, you need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sun daily, and full sun positions are strongly preferred